Rewatch. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the organizer, UN, Panerai, and Oceanic Global. It's a real opportunity to be here for sharing and learning our knowledge about the protection of the ocean. Allow me to speak in French for my communication. And it's a real pleasure also, again, to be here. Je suis né bercé par le bruit des vagues. Donc, et je me suis attaché à l'univers marin grâce aux anecdotes que racontaient mes parents pêcheurs chaque soir lorsqu'ils revenaient de la mer. Comme vous pouvez le deviner, je suis né dans ma famille maternelle, Lébou, les communautés de pêcheurs du Sénégal, particulièrement qui sont au niveau de Dakar, la capitale. Ma passion de l'océan est donc profonde. Elle est ancrée dans mon identité et est devenue aujourd'hui un devoir professionnel, car en tant qu'archéologue sous-marin, j'ai l'obligation d'écrire notre histoire, les cultures maritimes disparues, et également de contribuer à cette protection des océans. Comme vous pouvez le voir sur ces images, c'est ma communauté, les Lébou de Dakar, avec leurs pirogues qui aujourd'hui, ces embarcations qui deviennent aujourd'hui l'identité du Sénégal. Si vous tapez sur Google, vous allez automatiquement voir ce type d'embarcation qui vraiment marque l'identité du Sénégal. Donc, à l'heure actuelle, la contribution de l'archéologie sous-marine n'est plus à démontrer. Car on contribue à la connaissance, la protection et la promotion des océans. Mon travail de tous les jours est donc d'explorer les océans pour percer ces mystères à travers les recherches que nous menons pour connaître surtout les modes de vie du passé, les civilisations maritimes, mais également l'histoire de la communauté internationale à travers les navigations dans le passé. Mes explorations au large des côtes africaines m'ont permis de mieux comprendre la nécessité de protéger les océans. Surtout également le patrimoine culturel qui est sous l'eau. Sa préservation contribue à la protection de cet univers marin. En effet, mes recherches en cours au niveau du delta du Saloum. Le delta du Saloum, c'est comme vous le savez tous, c'est un site du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO et fait partie des 7 sites inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine mondial au Sénégal. Et c'est des sites funéraires, des sites d'amas coquillés bimillénaires depuis le néolithique. Ces recherches m'ont permis de comprendre la nécessité de mieux comprendre les effets du changement climatique sur la préservation des océans. Aujourd'hui, ce site du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO est affecté par le changement climatique avec la montée des eaux. Et nous menons des recherches pour mieux comprendre ce niveau de submersion des eaux et pouvoir prendre des décisions quant à sa préservation. En étudiant le patrimoine culturel subaquatique et côtier, nous pouvons tirer les leçons de ce passé et se reconnecter à l'océan. Ce n'est qu'ainsi que les communautés pourront comprendre et valoriser l'océan. Également, je souhaitais partager avec vous les enjeux liés aux épaves historiques sous-marines, qui illustrent également l'importance du patrimoine des océans. À l'image de Urania, comme vous pouvez le voir sur ces images, qui est un naufragé au large de l'archipel du Cap-Vert, en Afrique toujours, en 1809, et qui témoigne une partie de l'histoire des nations, notamment le commerce transatlantique des esclaves. Cette épave, comme tant d'autres qui reposent dans les fonds marins, est une nurserie aujourd'hui pour la reproduction des espèces marines. Un grand nombre d'espèces s'y reproduisent et c'est également un site d'intérêt touristique et participe au développement économique de cette communauté, notamment l'archipel du Cap-Vert. Ce patrimoine englouti au niveau des océans est aujourd'hui une priorité pour l'UNESCO, et notamment dans le domaine de la culture avec la convention de l'UNESCO de 2001 de l'UNESCO pour la protection du patrimoine culturel subaquatique. nous intervenons pour assurer une meilleure protection de cet héritage qui nous est commun, mais surtout également de renforcer les capacités des professionnels africains. Et c'est surtout l'intervention du bureau régional de l'UNESCO à Dakar, le bureau régional pour l'Afrique de l'Ouest, où je travaille comme coordinateur de programme, où nous menons vraiment des programmes innovants dans la région pour renforcer cette expertise dans le domaine de l'archéologie sous-marine, mais également de bâtir des capacités à travers les jeunes pour assurer une meilleure protection des océans. La culture est aujourd'hui l'un des rares aspects qui peuvent créer un lien direct entre l'homme et les océans. À travers la culture, un sentiment d'appartenance s'établit, des liens intrinsèques ainsi que d'engagement se forment aujourd'hui entre l'homme et son environnement marin. Comme le disait le célèbre penseur français, Salomon Renac, la mer est le plus grand musée du monde. C'est donc un devoir pour nous tous ici présents de s'engager davantage pour la protection des océans. Ainsi, je souhaiterais terminer mon message en demandant à la communauté internationale ici présente de se mobiliser davantage à nos côtés pour la protection de ce patrimoine culturel qui est sous l'eau. Et surtout, d'appuyer nos initiatives pour renforcer davantage les capacités au niveau du continent africain, dans ce domaine notamment de l'archéologie sous-marine et des sciences océaniques de façon globale. Je vous remercie tous. Thank you very much. Jërëjëf in my native language. Thank you.
Thank you, Musa, for sharing with us what the maritime past can tell us about the present and the future. And to continue illustrating the interconnectivity between the ocean and those that depend on it, virtually joining us, we have Mohammed Arju. He is a community organizer and a communicator based in South Asia. Born and raised on Bay of Bengal Island, he now works as communications coordinator for the ICCA Consortium Association, which liaises with national and local organizations worldwide to secure recognition and support for the indigenous peoples and local communities' territories of life.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from here, and thank you for this opportunity to speak today. Our common heritage, the ocean, has always been cared for by our coastal and island communities. These communities can continue to play their role as custodians and guardians of the environmental commons if their voices are heard and their rights are respected. Unfortunately, in many parts of the world, the legacy of colonialism and unsustainable extraction of resources, which has contributed to present day climate and ecological crisis, still affects how we interact and care for the ocean. There are, however, promising signs that approaches to ocean governance are changing. Many coastal and island communities are reviving traditional knowledge, governance, and management systems to take care of the ocean spaces in their territories. Indigenous people and local communities in many countries refer to these conserved areas as territories of life. These territories of life are diverse as the peoples and communities who shape and sustain them through their unique cultures, governance systems, and practices. The policymakers have to recognize the positive contributions that these indigenous and local governance systems can make. The states have a responsibility to create an environment where these communities can determine their conservation priorities. If that happens on the national level, these communities can achieve remarkable successes in protecting oceanic habitats, promoting bicultural diversity, and preserving their own cultures and livelihoods. I am lucky to work with communities worldwide who are putting the ocean first. Working with communities to tell their stories of their accomplishments give me immense joy. Let me share a few examples with you. In the Atlantic region of West Africa, in Senegal, communities of fishers in the lower Casamance River basin almost 2 decades ago, the leader of the fishers, Salatu Sambu, now also my colleague in the ICCA consortium, felt the need to revive his community's territories of life. Salatu led the process. The local fishers of Diola people in the region mobilized themselves and brought together nearly 12,000 people to form an association called Kawawana. Kawawana in local language means our heritage to be preserved together. They established their own territory of life to sustain their livelihoods and all diversity of life. With governance and management systems based on traditions, now the territory is thriving with the aquatic diversity of life. This was also possible partly because the community successfully pursued the Senegal government to officially recognize their territory in 2010. The success of Kawana also inspired and helped other communities in Senegal to declare their territories of life. For another example that gives me joy, in Latin America, in Chile, in the southern Aysén region, the indigenous Mapuche Huilliche people took the initiative to work together with the local artisanal fishing communities to together govern and take care of coastal and marine territories of life. This is significant progress for the ocean in Latin America and in terms of collaboration across communities. To borrow the words from the community organization, the Asociación de Comunidades Territorio Chono, this comes at a critical juncture in which the archipelagic marine ecosystem in that region and the people are threatened by unsustainable aquaculture, industrial overfishing, poverty, and inequity. This initiative by indigenous peoples has been possible partly because there is existing policy support where initiatives by indigenous communities in Chile can be legally recognized. Indigenous peoples in the country successfully secured a national law in 2008 that can classify an area as a coastal and marine area of indigenous people. So now these communities can rely on the fact that their self-mobilization and efforts to sustain and defend the ocean can achieve legal recognition and protection. I would like to highlight that in all these examples of successes, communities are thriving because they advocate for positive change in legal, policy, and institutional frameworks in their countries, both at the local and national level, which are adopted and implemented by their governments. I'm convinced if governments globally were to embrace this proven approach to territories of life and were to remove the remaining structural and political barriers to the leadership, the stewardship of indigenous peoples and local communities in the governance and management of oceanic and coastal territories, we can turn the tide for planet ocean. I could tell you many more success stories of indigenous people and local communities who govern, manage, and conserve their territories of life. Let me close, however, by saying that these communities deserve our support and support of their governments at the local, national, and international levels. To ensure effective, equitable, and sustainable approaches to coastal and marine conservation, we must put people of the ocean, our communities, who are the custodians and guardians of the ocean, first. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arju, for joining us virtually and also sharing your experience with us, which is very inspiring. Now, our next performance will close out this segment, and we are very fortunate to witness a very special, unique performance here on stage by Mampuye Mumtambeni. She is an award-winning performer and theater maker from Umlazi, Durban, South Africa. And as co-director of Empatheater, she focuses on merging research and performance in service of marginalized communities, where the theater acts as sort of a healer or shaman, and stories are a form of medicine.
Odlala thongo lami bayeza odlala bo bayeza bangoma baphumolwa nje odlala sangoma odlala bo bayeza bangoma baphumolwa nje odlala thongolami odlala we bayeza bangoma baphumolwa nje odlala lwandle odlala bo bayeza bangoma baphumolwa nje I remember the first time the sea spoke to me. The more I followed the voice, the more the currents began to tug and pull at my legs until my feet could no longer feel the sand. And just as this was happening to me, just as I was about to fall into a deep sea dream, I felt the bony grip of Ukoko pulling me back to the surface. Yay! Mzukulu! Gogo yelled, "What were you doing in there? Remember what I have told you. Our ancestors are living down there. Sometimes their voices are so strong that you won't even realize you're swimming out past the wave to reach them." What will happen to me there, Gogo? They will take you under, and they might choose to keep you. When you go down there, you will find very old dark women who live there. Ogoga badala. Uphehluka hamba lapha mzulu. When you first arrive, they are waiting to receive you. They will know exactly whose child you belong to. When I first was called, I was met by my great-great-grandmother who was waiting for me with her mouth wide open. "Go in, child," said the voice of my mother. "Don't be frightened." When I walked in, it was like walking through big doors of a house, just like that story from the Bible where Jonah is swallowed by a fish. The only difference is that when you go inside, you embrace great powers, uba namandla makhulu, and your mind goes to another level. But when Mzukulu, you are not yet ready for this. It's not yet your time. This is a scene from our amphitheater play, Lalelwa Ulwandle, Listen to the Sea. My name is Mpume Mtombeni. I was born and raised in Umlazi, a township near in Durban, in South Africa. I am a healer, a sangoma. I use words and stories like this one to heal. I remember when I was growing up, ngisakhula ngisamncane, I used to visit sangomas in the neighborhood, and they would teach me how to beat the drum. They would teach me how to dance. They would teach me how to listen and learn from my dreams. I remember one old sangoma telling me how people would go towards in the sea, how they would be carried by this big cloud into the sea towards their ancestors. How did they get into the sea? Lingena kanjani idlozi emanzini? I have carried this question with me my entire life. I could have never imagined answering this question through our theater methodology, amphitheater, that the answers would keep flowing with new understanding like the tides and phases of the moon. Over the last decade, our public storytelling has created amphitheaters of empathy, extra-legal tribunals where we can bring out different ways of knowing, being, and doing together, and make new decisions, create new laws and policies in different contexts. Our play, Ulalela Ulwandle, has been co-created with traditional healers, small-scale fishers, scientists, children, lawyers, policymakers, educators, and others. It has toured up and down our coastline, performed at international policy events like the COP27 and the headquarters of FAO, and now the UN here. This play and our short films have been used as evidence in court cases against big oil companies and ministries of minerals and energy who are selling our ocean without our consent, without thinking of our ancestors. These stories were included as evidence of intangible heritage of our fellow indigenous fishers and coastal peoples. And last year, we won 3 court cases in a row. I am here today to call all the policymakers, all the decision makers, align with the storytellers, the healers and lovers of the ocean who have words and images, dreams and memories, who can speak to the ocean and who can also listen to her needs. Our stories are the sacred medicine, umuti, that ocean decision-making needs. Storytelling and story listening dissolves the barriers and disconnections between disciplines and departments. It sculpts new evidences, new ways of making meaning with the ocean. Listen to us. We know the sea. Nivume, vumela nitongolika ba. Nivume, vumela nitongolika ba. Nivume, vumela nitongolika ba. Nivume, vumela nitongolika ba. Nivume, vumela nitongolika ba.
I mean, let's keep giving it up to Mpume for that extremely captivating, healing performance. Thank you so much for that performance. It's an amazing way to close out this segment. And thank you all for being here, also for promoting the ocean, awareness, implementing solutions, and caring.